We getting there, man. Jubilee, is abortion murder? Middle ground. Let's check it out, bro. I'm guessing it's gonna be like pro-life versus pro-choice, which they've done an episode of that before, so maybe not.
Is the end goal here that abortion be illegal and it be criminalized and removed as a resource forever from this country? Is that the
illegal and unthinkable?
Illegal and unthinkable,
Yes.
So it is criminalized and stigmatized.
That's crazy. That's crazy to me to even hear someone say that. Hold up, this intro.
If you agree, step forward.
Okay, pro-abortion and anti-abortion, a little bit different, but
nobody
understandable.
likes abortions.
I don't think anyone likes it. I think they use it, and they might use it incorrectly from my perspective, but I don't think anyone likes an abortion. Like, they're not like jumping for joy for it.
I think it is a very physically taxing process to go through, and I don't think anyone would want to intentionally have an abortion. I think those who get an abortion, most of the time, it's because they need to.
Hey, that's the vegan dude from the Odd One Out video, right? I think so. I'm still mad I didn't catch him, bro.
It's a harmful narrative on both sides of the conversation to say that, you know, women celebrate abortion. I think it creates a prejudice around women who do get abortions. And I don't think that it's good to kind of minimize the decision of abortion from either side, from either perspective. So,
Can the disagreeer step forward?
This is gonna be very interesting.
I think if you asked me this question maybe several years ago, I would have said nobody likes abortion. But I think in today's climate, it is much more celebrated. As a pro-life person, I've had people tell me that they will dedicate their next abortion to me. Instead of helping women, they will have an abortion.
I've heard very similar responses to you. Things like, I'll donate to Planned Parenthood in your name. And there's other pages like Shout Your Abortion that openly celebrates abortion rights.
Yeah, I celebrate abortion, and I think that campaigns like Shout Your Abortion aren't about like getting in your face, but women who choose to have abortions suffer a lot of stigma and trauma from people who stand outside clinics and have grotesque images and literally.
I feel like stuff like that need to be illegal. Way like. I don't even know why it's a question, you know, that abortion should be illegal, bro. That shouldn't even be in the conversation. And I'm not one to talk. I'm a dude, bro. I literally have no say. At least I shouldn't. Obviously, politicians don't know that they don't have that type of awareness. But at the same time, nobody should be outside of an abortion clinic trying to put someone down for like going, because like it takes a lot to do that already. You know what I mean? And yeah, you could, if you really wanted to, if you wanted to be that guy, you could pull the free speech card, you know, and be like, First Amendment, whatever. But it's messed up, dude. It's messed up.
Damning your soul. Abortion as a medical procedure and resource is something that I do celebrate. It's a human right.
For sure.
And I love abortion.
Especially because a lot of people don't have the option,
Do you want to earn
the
a
safe option.
Amazon gift card just for doing the things
You know what I mean?
do on a regular basis?
One of those things that a lot of people in a lot of places, and you know, unfortunately now even in the US, they literally don't even have the option, bro. So I guess I would kind of agree. It should be sort of celebrated. I wouldn't say celebrated, but maybe appreciated. I don't know, dude. It's kind of weird.
My name is Rocky. I use she, her pronouns. I'm from Austin, Texas, and
Rocky.
I am very pro-abortion. I think that legislation like SB 8 opens the door and the path towards handing over our bodily autonomy to the state. I don't understand how anyone can justify using their personal beliefs to take away the rights of others.
Yeah, that's kind of crazy to me, for real.
I'm from Orlando, Florida, and I'm an abolitionist of human abortion. We have to ask the question of what makes humans valuable. So because my worldview as a Christian gives me a foundation for human worth, and because I believe scientifically fetuses are human beings from the moment of conception, I am against abortion.
Biological fathers
It's valid, bro.
should have an equal say in abortions.
that's one of those weird ones, bro. I don't know.
I think so. I mean,
I don't know. I feel like I don't know, cause it's not one of those things where it's, I don't know, bro. I don't even know where I'm going with that, bro. I don't know.
That is a life.
I just don't know.
It is a life to put a kid up for adoption. Both parents have to agree.
I agree. I have talked to lots of women who've had abortions, and I've talked to lots of men who are hurting. They're completely heartbroken. They would have raised the baby. They wanted to raise the baby. They begged for the life of the baby. And they obviously created the baby together, but only one of them gets to decide if their child gets to live or die.
I don't mean to laugh, bro. This is not a funny topic.
Honestly, feminist perspective, men have responsibility as the other parent of that child. Ironically enough, a lot of the times when pro-choice people put the focus completely on the woman, they strip the man of all his parental rights and responsibilities. And I think that's why actually a lot of men who are pro-choice because they don't want to have those fatherly responsibilities that they will have once the child is born.
I think it's... I forgot what I was gonna say, bro. Dang, I'm mad. I literally had a whole thing, bro. You know how I be going off sometimes. I forgot what I was gonna say. Dang, bro.
You left us, man. I want to know why.
It's a struggle.
Seriously.
I'm mad conflicted about this because I strongly feel like a man should not have control over what a woman does with her body.
Exactly.
I more so have an issue with when a man doesn't actually want that baby, she wants it, and then expects this man to like be the ultimate provider and child care and all this extra stuff, right? But in the case of if the man wanted it, the baby, and the woman didn't want it, he has no say so. I think that's a fucked up dynamic.
I think it is, but at the same time, it's like, who's really like in control of that? Like, yeah, it's messed up, but at the end of the day, the woman is the one with the baby in her stomach for 9 months and then got to push it out, you know, herself. If we was like, you know, seahorses and it was flipped, it would obviously be the opposite conversation and then it would be very different. But it would be the same thing, actually, just flipped. That doesn't make any sense. But I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
Well, you should have stayed then. It sounds like you're for men having more rights.
I just can't force a woman to be like, no, you have to do this, because I think it's fucked up. It's her body.
But it's also a child's life in there. It's not just her body. It's a child's life
in her body, though.
I think truly, in my eyes, it's
life in her body, though.
I get to do what I want with it, and I don't think anyone, including the other person who's involved, should have a say whether I want to keep it or whether I want to get an abortion.
My name is Asher, currently reside in Las Vegas, and I'm for pro-abortion. I used to be against abortion until an unwanted pregnancy happened to me.
Yikes.
If you know for a fact that you're not even gonna be the best parent for that child, or you can't provide for that child, or maybe you're just fearful and don't want to pop a child out of you, or just whatever.
Or maybe you just don't want no kids, bro.
I feel like you shouldn't have to go through with that.
Yeah.
You still have that choice over your life, your body.
See, one thing that I feel like is the problem with a lot of people that are very anti is most of them, not all of them, but most of them don't have any experience going through the system. Because one thing that a lot of them say that's very common is like, instead of having an abortion, put the kid up for adoption if you really don't want this child. Then it's like, bro, do you know what kids go through in there, bro? Like, it's not that simple, dude. It's really not that simple. You know, there's a lot of people that, you know, ended up in great family homes, you know, and they had great lives coming up, but there's a lot that haven't, probably more. You know what I mean? And then you have Stuart Little. He was just foul. Like, how you get adopted before an actual child, bro? Like, was he like a mouse? That's kind of weird. But I feel like a lot of people put a lot of focus on the child until it comes out, and then it just doesn't matter. Like, yeah, it's a life, but you don't realize that, you know, the lifespan of a human is what, like 75 years, something like that, like average. So you're worried about this life for 9 months, and the second it comes out, you just don't care, and that's a big problem. That's a major problem. People try to tell other people what to do with their, you know, fetus, because you can't even abort a baby after a certain amount of time. It's a very small window. You know what I mean? So you care so much about this thing that literally does not even know it exists, bro. No clue. Consciousness is not there, bro. Like, at all. But when they're an actual human being and go through stuff and see stuff and have experiences, it's like not that big a deal. That's a big problem, bro. And that's what I'm like. I wouldn't say I'm quite I'm pro-choice. Do what you want. But I'm very anti. Like don't be like that, bro. It's just weird to me.
I have had an abortion.
It's weird to me.
A few months ago, I found out that I was pregnant. When I imagined myself finding out I was pregnant for the first time, I wanted it to be celebrated. And in that moment, I felt such severe anxiety. And having that, I felt like the entire time I was just in a lot of emotional pain, grieving. I was debating.
Look, bro, this dude, trying to make me laugh, bro. You gotta chill. So maybe they're together, or maybe someone he was with had, and I guess technically, this is a very interesting. All right, bro.
About myself.
Let me listen to what she's saying, bro.
How I would be looked at, or how I would view myself after getting the procedure done.
I ain't gonna lie, I'm nervous. So I'm gonna be real careful with my words. Clearly, as a man, I can't have an abortion. But my girlfriend, we've had 2 abortions.
Okay.
She didn't really want to have a baby. I didn't really want to have a baby.
Okay.
And I know for me,
understandable
I don't wanna be
now.
seen as that deadbeat father person, but I knew I wasn't really trying to sacrifice my own dreams or what I was trying to accomplish to be a dad at that point.
I think that's definitely like one of the biggest things to consider, because I wasn't in any kind of position to be a mother, you know? So it's like, I want to get my shit together before I can have a baby and give it a life that it deserves.
At this point, bro,
I was pregnant.
I feel like I'm not even pro-choice, bro. I'm pro-option. I feel like there should be an option, bro. Like, it's not even really about what someone wants to, like, it should just be an option, dude. Like, it's so crazy to me that in some places now, Roe v. Wade got overturned, and it's like, there isn't even an option, dude. That is insane to me. Insane. It's actually insane, bro.
The person that I was with at the time, they were like, I will support you in every way, but I will not be able to be there for you if you decide to keep it. And that definitely influenced my choice.
Dang, man.
It was one of the hardest decisions I've ever had to make. I like to think I'm a pretty generous, like, loving person, and the names that I've been called for even getting one, I've gotten evil, psychotic, demented.
That's terrible too. I don't understand the hate that people be throwing at people, you know, for the decisions that they make in their life. I feel like a lot of the people that be, you know, anti-abortion, you know, pro-life, whatever, you know, they be the same, like, it's the same homophobic people, it's the same transphobic people, like, and they all think the same way. It's like, they're so mad about what people choose to do with their life. Like, stuff that literally, if they didn't make it about them, would not affect them directly at all. And it really doesn't, you know, actually in general, it doesn't. It just doesn't affect them at all. But they make it so much about them to where they want it to affect them. And that's why they be throwing so much hate. I just don't get it, bro. It's weird to me because I don't think like that. So I can't wrap my brain around how people do. It's so weird to me, bro.
And I am on the anti-abortion side. So when I was 20 years old, I was
Everybody
a college
say
student,
Colorado.
and I found myself in an unplanned pregnancy, and I was pressured to abort very heavily, not only by my child's father, but by those around me. And I heard my son's heartbeat, and there was no debate. It was a life. His life was not mine to take. This is part of why I am very pro-life, because I know many women are pressured to abort when they don't want to.
Can they disagree?
It's an interesting take. I can understand it. You know what I mean? I can appreciate it because that's how she thinks. That's okay.
Your story is absolutely powerful, and your story as well. I think something we probably all can agree on is abortion usually is a symptom of a bigger problem, whether it's finances, whether it's stability of housing, whether it's relationship issues. My perspective is that we address those issues instead of ending the life of a child.
I disagree.
I feel like in a capitalist society like America, bro, it's not that simple. It's just not that simple. We talking about finance, we talking about housing, we talking about, whatever. It's just not that simple, dude. It's really not. In a perfect utopia, yeah, it could be that simple. You know what I mean? You don't have enough money to take care of a child. You don't have, the best living situation to, raise a child right now. Okay, boom, fixed. It's just, that's just not how it works, bro. That's not how it works, bro. So I don't know, dude.
Abortion
I feel like it's not that simple.
People should be able to access abortion when, how, wherever
exactly
they want or need. I don't think that it's a problem to be fixed. I think that is still stigmatizing.
But I think the biggest thing is
exactly there should be an option.
Birth control methods out there, and abortion should not be a birth control method. I think that's very critical. And to hear that, you weren't celebrated. I think life should be celebrated with everybody.
I'd like to call attention to that point too, just the fact of using abortion as birth control. I thank you for everyone sharing their stories so far. I didn't step forward, I haven't had an abortion myself, but I am a survivor of rape. I was on birth control at the time, and I still made the decision with my medical team that birth control is not 100% effective, and I wanted access to emergency contraceptive to take on top of that. And had that pregnancy or any of those methods failed, I would have chosen to have an abortion, and I'm very grateful that I had access to those resources, and I'm so mindful that there's so many women who don't.
Well,
exactly,
I think it's down to the heart of the issue here. What is the unborn? Which scientifically the embryo is from conception, a living whole organism with distinct DNA. As a Christian, I come from a worldview that says that every human being has dignity and worth.
Not to disrespect any religion in general, but
that's one thing too, bro. Look, I believe in God. I feel like churches are kind of sketchy. People take the Bible way too literally sometimes, way too literally. But it's not one of those things that I feel like people should be using to kind of, base their views on certain things about. Like, I can understand it, and it's do you, bro. Do you, for sure. But I feel like that's not like I just don't think it's that valid, bro. Because like I said, people take stuff way too literally, especially when it comes to religion. Like, I don't know, bro. Like, yeah, it's very valid. Every life is worth something, but you can't neglect one life to put a lot of shine on another. Like, that makes no sense too, because then you're kind of just contradicting yourself.
That's just pushing belief onto someone rather than actually stating a real concrete fact.
Exactly.
So, scientifically, I'm pro-life because of science, not because of religion. But scientifically, I believe that life does start at conception. I don't think it makes sense to put life beginning at any other place during pregnancy. Doing so usually ends up saying that an already born person isn't alive, such as consciousness, heartbeat, etc. There are many.
I feel like consciousness is the most important thing, bro. Because if something doesn't know it exists, then like, what is pain? It doesn't exist. It doesn't even know. You know what I mean? Like, if I walk outside right now and rip off a blade of grass, I don't think the grass is gonna be mad at me or start crying, bro. I've never seen that before. That's never happened because of the concept. Yeah, it's a living thing. It grows, dude. You have to cut grass. You have to water grass. You have to feed grass. All that stuff, bro. A living thing. But as far as we know right now, where science is at right now, this very day, November 30th, 2021, 7:09 p.m., grass is not conscious. So it's not that big a deal. It's really not. And even what I just said, cutting grass, people literally take a blade to grass all the time and don't see a problem with it because it's not conscious. And that's like science, bro. It's a living thing. It has like chloroplasts and stuff. I don't know about cells, bro. Like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. That's how I see it, though.
People here from the science perspective who are not led by religious motives at all or partially.
W take, you know.
I am Ayala. I am 18 years old. I'm from Charlotte, North Carolina, and I am anti-abortion. One misconception that I deal with pretty frequently is that we're all Christian, white, old men, and as a Jewish woman, younger, I really want more voices like mine to be seen in the anti-abortion movement because I think we have new perspectives that would help kind of bridge the gap and have us find a little bit of middle ground between our two opposing sides.
I feel like there's always going to be the main question. I feel like there's always going to be opposition there, only because like there's a lot of people that, even like what I just said, bro, like there's always going to be people that find a way around what someone says and be like, nope, still, here's a loophole around this and it's not the same thing. Like, I don't know. And it's it's no shade. It's all respect to everybody because, like, do what you want. But it's kind of weird to me that it's a whole movement, dog. Like, people, even my favorite rap artist, one of my favorite designers, Kanye West, aka Ye, bro. He's one of the most pro or anti-abortion people I've ever seen, bro. And I still have a lot of respect for him. But at the same time, it's like, bro, that's how you see it. And I think it's very is a lot more respectable when someone's not trying to force it on you. And that's why, there's some people that have, the pro-life anti-abortion thing going on, whatever, that's their belief, but they don't try to push it on anyone. And I can respect that. But the fact that it's becoming a thing now where it's like, people don't have an option, that's messed up to me, bro. Like, it's a very messed up movement. You know what I mean? Like, there's bigger things to be dealing with than that. And if you want to talk about population control or you want to talk about, declining birth rates, look at the earth, bro. Look at where we live, bro. Like, do we really need to be having a consistently growing population of people right now? Do we? To be honest? Like, I feel like we're not gonna really lose anything if we wait like 10 years. You know what I mean? Not that many kids. If then, we get our stuff together, people change their minds, they have kids, we can, get the population back up if necessary and if it makes sense. But there's too many people on this earth to be talking, but there's 7 billion, almost 8 billion people on the planet, bro. You talking about declining birth rates? Like, yeah, a lot of them are old, but like they're still here though. And there's a lot of kids, dude. A lot of kids. Like, the future is already here. We don't need to be, having babies every second of every day, and what is like, a large population gonna do anyways? We're not really doing anything like that. We've been to the moon, once? They're on their way to Mars, I think. Like, what are we really doing? What's the purpose of having that many people just walking around Earth, sucking up the rest of the oxygen, cutting down more trees so we can have more buildings for these people to live in? You know what I mean? Like, I don't know, bro. I feel like we need a fresh start, to be honest. It's not that deep. And I'm only 11 minutes into this video. I need to stop talking so much. How long have I even been recording?
I think it is murder. I think for the abortionist more so than the woman. I think a lot of women don't necessarily know exactly how an abortion procedure is formed. I've had a girl even tell me that at 20 weeks a baby is just a clump of cells, and that's just not true.
I do believe now there might be cases where some women might be unaware of what's going on in an abortion. But by and large, I think, especially with the advent of the internet and so much education out there, many of them do know that there's a life inside of them, and they want to end that life, whether they call it murder or not.
Hard disagree. Absolutely disagree.
Okay.
I've definitely met a lot of teenage girls who grew up in our generation who believe that abortion is normal, a fetus is a clump of cells, and there is no human life in the womb. They don't tell you when you go in for an abortion consultation, this is a child and this is a human life, and then that's what's going to be happening. I have a hard time believing that if most women knew they were killing a child, they would do that. I don't think women in America are that malevolent. I think it's very irresponsible and very hurtful to say, oh, this woman's a murderer because she had an abortion.
Yeah. And I feel like if we gonna talk about that, bro, why we still got the death penalty then? Answer me that. Because a lot of people that are anti-abortion don't even speak on the death penalty, bro. And that's a disgrace, bro. We should not have people, you know what I mean, no matter what they've done. If they did something that bad, give them life, bro. You know what I mean? If you're so pro-life, give them life in prison, whatever. You know what I mean? Murdered 18 people. That doesn't mean that you have to then turn around and murder them. What justice does that serve, bro? What does that do? We don't know what happens after we dip out of here, bro. Like, that makes no sense. I feel like a lot more of these same people need to be redirecting their energy and putting it into a place that actually affects people that are actually living right now, bro. This goes back to what I was talking about earlier. Like, there's so many people on this earth that nobody cares about, dude. That makes no sense to me. None at all. At all.
At least my personal experience, the people who worked there were very understanding. They let me know there is a child that could come out of you in 9 months. Are you sure you want to do this? And I knew there was a child in my body. I knew I could have a child in 9 months, and I knew that child can grow old and be their own person. But I made that choice because I am allowed to have that choice, and especially you are a white man, you are not allowed to say what I can do with my body, nor any of these other women who are able to carry a child.
I think that's so dangerous. I think that's so dangerous to say that you can't say because of your sexuality, who you are as a male or female, or how you believe as a religion, you can't define what's right and wrong. I think that's misguided.
To be honest though, nah, bro. There's certain things. There's certain things, and I feel like it's up to your parents to teach you, you know what I mean, what's right and wrong, but also, you know, certain laws, which a lot of them are flawed, but that's how it is. But at the end of the day, most people have morals, you know what I mean? They know what's right and wrong. And in certain situations, there are definitely groups of people that should not be allowed to dictate what's right and wrong in certain situations. Old, straight, white men should not be able to tell everyone else whether or not they're allowed to get an abortion or not. Like, that's just not valid. Same for old straight black men or old gay black men. Number one, men can't get pregnant, all right? As far as I know, they can't. There's been a few trans men that have gotten pregnant, you know what I mean? It's a little bit different. But at the end of the day, men cannot get pregnant, okay? They can't. Like, point blank period, bro. Science, religion, whatever you want to put behind it, you can't. I can, like me right now, I cannot get pregnant right now. That's not how biology works. That's not how the world works. It's not how these things go. All right? Which means if I cannot carry a child in my body, that's not my responsibility as a male. It's not my DNA pattern to say that, like, yo, this dude can, like, literally, like, carry a child. I have no say. That's literally not, like, I have no say, bro. Because what can I do? What am I really contributing here? Nothing at all. So, like, that's just one example, though. But there's definitely other things. Like, I feel like with schooling, bro, it's the same thing. Older people in general should not be telling kids what they need to learn to be able to make it in life, like, at all. It should be like a set group of people between, like, you know, 30 and like 55 that, you know, determine what is being taught because they've experienced enough life to know what they had to learn, what they actually applied from school, and what they had no clue about until they actually became an adult. You know, stuff like that. It should not be 80-year-old people that have been around since, you know, black people couldn't even, you know, go to school with white people telling us what to learn. That makes no sense. Obviously, there's plenty of people that go to school and leave and don't know anything about the real world. Plenty. Because they just don't know, because we're not taught anything real. You know what I mean? We're literally programmed to, like, be robots for corporations. That's, like, everything school is at this point, right now, currently. You know what I mean? So, like, there's definitely certain groups of people that should not be allowed that should, like, not be allowed to say what's right and wrong for certain situations. I don't know, bro.
Take that into policy.
I think what she's
If it's a
saying is
child,
that
you should
whatever
have that right.
your morality is, I think that, folks are entitled, that we have freedom of religion, we have freedom from religion.
Yes.
Whatever your moral value is, the issue is trying to turn that into legislation and putting it on someone
Legislatively,
else.
we
Exactly.
legislate what's right and wrong all the time.
I'm thinking even medically, like for Indigenous women, they're 2 times as likely to die from pregnancy-related complications. Wwho's responsible for that murder if she's forced to carry that baby?
Well, I would be
Exactly, because at that point, then now you got 2 bodies on your head, bro. 2. For what? Like, what's the point of that, bro? Could have been avoided. We could have actually saved one life by taking another. It's the trolley problem, dog. It's just like an actual real life situation that happens every single day. Every single day.
Legislation altogether where, if the woman's been taken advantage of, or if they've incest situations, or if her life's at risk, we can keep those options on the table.
So all of a sudden, because she could potentially die, we'll make legislation where she can abort that baby, and all of a sudden you're pro-abortion?
No, I'm not pro-abortion. I personally would not
See, that
like
makes
her to
sense.
choose that option. I think science
So
has
you
come.
prefer that she die, though,
No.
right?
I think science has come a long way where that's vastly not the case anymore within our medical community, and we need to continue to increase funding for those mechanisms to provide more research on how to keep the woman alive in those situations.
What is the end goal here, that abortion be illegal and it be criminalized and removed as a resource forever from this country? Is that the
Illegal and unthinkable.
illegal and unthinkable? So it is culturally
For women, we want women to have resources, first of all, to where they don't need an abortion, and then abortion for the abortionist is criminalized. So an abortionist could go to jail for performing it. Women should not be criminalized because at the end of the day, women are victims of abortion as well.
My name is Sebastian King, and I am anti-abortion side. My mom had an unplanned pregnancy because she was taken advantage of from the time she was 12 to 15, and she was in and out of state custody, and a judge even encouraged her to have an abortion and told my mom that she won't amount to anything in life if she goes through with this pregnancy. Because she chose life, that's the only reason I'm here today, and that's my mission, is to ensure that all life is protected.
Abortion
In a
should be
situation like that,
accessible
it's,
to rape and incest
kind of
survivors.
understandable. But even still, bro, it should be an option, yo. It should be an option. And that's facts.
If you're pregnant from your brother or your cousin or your father, especially if it wasn't consensual, or even if it was, you should still have that option to
It should
abort
be an
the
option,
baby. And
dude.
especially if you've been raped. There are some people who have that thought, like, oh my God, like, what if when I look at my child, I relive that trauma?
That's a reminder.
For
And I'm
real.
not saying that's how all rape victims view it, but it's just like some women have that fear.
It's a very real thing, dude.
Okay, so I was
Yikes.
raped for 4 years of my life, violently, more times than I can count. And I did get pregnant when I was 15. My rapist threatened me with abortion multiple times. Used that as a tool to keep me in his power. If he had the power to terminate evidence, he had power against me. I did end up losing her, but I wanted her very badly. I named her Rahel, which is Rachel in English. And I think it's very important to humanize people who are conceived in rape because they're walking around right now.
There's a lot of them.
There's a lot of them, and I think it's very insulting to place that on a human being. I think that humans, no matter how they are conceived, are human beings, and they deserve to be respected, and their lives deserve to be respected.
And I agree because that's me. I agree 100%. And my mom has always told me she doesn't view me as even on my birth certificate, he's not my father. So.
Also, I want to tap on what you said, though, because you said you really wanted to keep your daughter. And although you don't, see it as the rape baby and stuff, other people who also go through that traumatic experience may actually see it like that, right?
Exactly. It's very different from person to person. I feel like a lot of people kind of neglect the fact that every individual has their own way of thinking. There's a lot of people that have shared ways of thinking, but even still, there's not going to be two people that align 100% on every single thing on this earth. There's just no way. That's not how this thing works. You know what I mean? So it's like a lot of people don't understand that people view things differently, you know? In her situation, it's a very bad situation, but she viewed it a certain way. Not everyone is going to view it that same way, which is why there should be an option.
But there's other people that had their a choice taken away from them.
Exactly.
They shouldn't be shamed at going through this, and even having to live through that experience of the rape baby.
At that point, I feel like they're even more of a victim after that. because they were already a victim to begin with. But now you strip away their option and their right to be able to, you know, take control of their situation after they were taken advantage of and they were out of control. Now they're even less in control, bro. That makes no sense, bro.
Here's the thing.
That just makes no sense.
When you get an abortion as a reaction to rape, you are continuing the cycle of violence. So you were raped, that was a violent experience that happened to you, that wasn't your fault, you're hurt, you've been victimized. Why is it fair to further victimize someone else because you are hurt?
But you're seeing it as a someone though, man. I'm putting myself in a woman's shoes or a human being's shoes, right? You take my choice away, you rape me, and for all you know, I might be a struggling human being, right? Making $8 an hour or something like that, crazy bills. I might be living in my car, I might be sleeping under the dumpster behind McDonald's. But now because of your opinion, right, and my traumatic experience, I get shamed because I don't want to bring this life into the world, bro.
For real.
You should give birth and then put it in foster care if you don't want it, bro.
I want to touch on that too, just for a second. Like for trauma, I think absolutely what I am passionate about is giving people the choice. And for you, you thought a lot about your choice and you wanted that pregnancy. And I'm really sorry that you lost that child. And I also thought a lot about for myself when I went through that experience, what choice would be best for me. And for me, that was not carrying the child. And I think trauma is such an interesting thing. For me, not having control over a child growing inside of me and changing my fate of my life, you know, that would be more traumatic than the initial experience. We don't know how people are going to react, but I do fight and would want them to have the choice to do what's best for them.
Facts, bro. It's all about the options, man.
I think a strange misconception that people have about people who are pro-abortion is that we don't have respect for life or we don't care about children. That's absolutely not true. I respect life very much. Unfortunately, I've also seen a lot of negative aspects of our systems in the U.S., like the foster care system. It's out of
Facts. That goes back to what I was talking about earlier.
People should have the right to choose an abortion.
America offers resources to help you raise a child.
Not efficiently. They be acting like they help. They don't help at all.
There's tax benefits to having children. I think there was also, you know, in the latest round of COVID money, there was funding for women who've had children.
Yeah, and there are so many Christian charities and so many different organizations that want to help women, you know, and the resources are there.
Also, government resources. There are government resources that help you take care of children. Are there enough? That is a different question.
I was basically just agreeing with what you said, because Section 8, food stamps, free health care, school programs and whatnot. Like, there are resources. Are there enough?
I feel like I said, they're not efficient, bro. They're just not efficient. If you look at, you know, any type of thing that, you know, is used to help people and is, you know, given to them, it's not, they don't take care of it as much, and they don't, you know, really look into it. I feel like a lot of people act like they're helping, and then they kind of just turn a blind eye after that, and they don't, you know, follow up. They don't see what's actually needed. They kind of sit down. They sat down a very long time ago and were like, okay, this is what you need. You know what I mean? We'll give you this. There you go. Now you can have a kid. Boom. Whatever. You know what I mean? And it's just not valid, bro. It's not valid. I feel like there are not enough resources at all. And it's to the point where I would say that they offer resources, but it's like that still comes with a price too. Because then it's like, you know, what is that child going to have to grow up going through in certain situations? You know? Unfortunately, a lot of places where, you know, people are getting help are very violent due to, you know, people going through stuff and seeing, you know, what they've been given and it's really nothing, and they want to rebel against it, or they, you know, so in some cases a lot of people don't have a choice. I mean, they do what they have to do to survive because they were given so little and they weren't actually provided resources that are needed to, you know, become a human being for real. Like,
because of government assistance. So that's the only way she made it, because of that.
I have been a pregnant teenager, and I've also been a teenage mother on welfare and unemployed. The number of resources that are available state to state is something that is atrocious.
That too,
it
it varies state to
is
state.
a lot of time and energy. The choice between, do I go to work and get the money to pay rent, or do I go and I sit in the office, or do I go to this nonprofit who's requiring me to fill out this application and come to a meeting in the daytime when I'm supposed to be working.
So you see it kind of like a job, like you're clocking in to fill in paperwork and receiving your check.
It is. Low resources and creating these sort of impossible hurdles and more barriers for people who are already experiencing them to overcome to get the help is not a help at all.
And I feel like
It's
a
really
completely
not.
like separate conversation is, it is extremely hard to be a single mother who is also a woman or person of color and to get resources, especially Black women. They are notoriously, even in that room where they're giving birth, they aren't taken seriously.
Well, I just want to say one thing because I think it's important. So I might not look it, but I'm Native American, have my Cherokee card and everything. We have universal health care in the Indian community. And when she went to have me as a child, they told her in that universal health care system that she's not allowed to have pain medicine because that's a luxury. So she got it through government assistance. So that's a big deal that the United States more for than the Native American community.
That is
I'm glad we're
such a low
discussing.
bar.
No, I'm not saying that's acceptable. I'm not saying that's acceptable, but I'm saying like
It exists.
It exists. That story exists.
But there are literal reservations out there that do not have water, do not have electricity, do not have internet. That is in 2021. Are those not resources to raise a child?
So let's address that instead of killing the baby.
To say that the government, the question was, does the government provide resources?
But there's a difference between addressing it and actually, you know what I mean, like dealing with it, bro. You can address a problem all you want, but you see the way America's set up, bro. You know how long it takes for a bill to get addressed by Congress, and then for them to turn around and make it law if they choose to. You know what I mean? Like, you can address an issue all you want, dude. We've been addressing the issue of racism for so long, and guess what? Racism still exists. You know, Shrek is the GOAT. No, you're not. I am. But thank you for the follow. You know, like, I feel like people try to, address it instead of, dealing with it this way. Like, what does that really do, though? What does that really do? Because at the end of the day, you only have a certain amount of time to get an abortion. So if we address this issue and we get it fixed before then, cool. That's perfect. But if you try to address the issue and it takes you 11 months to even, get the bill drawn up or to get something figured out, guess what? That baby's already here, bro. That choice has already been made at that point, Like, what is that really doing? Like, for real, in real time, what is that doing?
No, that's unacceptable.
Abortions will continue to happen regardless of the law.
100% they're gonna happen. And the messed up part is there's gonna be a lot more fatalities due to that because,
That ain't never gonna change.
it's not gonna be a safe and legal
A law doesn't mean that
process.
something is not going to happen at all anymore, just like rape, just like murder, just like anything else we've outlawed. Just because they're still going to happen doesn't make it right.
But if you criminalize doctors and abortion providers, right, that means we no longer have providers. That means abortion is no longer an option. And that by default, the way that this country, and especially my state, legislates will mean, and it has happened, we have precedent, a woman who tries to self-induce or who tries other non-medical methods to have an abortion can and has been criminalized. What is the policy that doesn't just absolutely take away the right that people have to access an abortion, regardless of what their beliefs are?
If that child is a human being deserving of the right to life, then yes, it should be criminalized, just like murder of 2-year-olds and 5-year-olds and adults is criminalized, right?
But that's so different, though. You have people that's 2 years old, already out the womb. They've been here for years, right? And then you got these cells.
Can I ask you something?
Go ahead.
When does it stop being a clump of cells?
Personally, I'm not worried about the clump of cells.
Decades of medical research has not been able to land.
It stops being a clump of cells when, baby's fully formed. You talk about, it's a life at conception, but when is it fully formed? You can't give birth, 2 days after you conceive a baby. You can't, because it's not fully formed, bro. That's not a baby. Like, literally, it's not. It's not. Unfortunately, there's a lot of people that have premature births, and a lot of babies don't survive because they're not, like, fully formed yet, bro. I saw a cool picture the other day. These two sisters, they were twins born very early, like the earliest ever. They're what, 2-3 years old now, maybe 4. I don't even know how old they are, but it was very cool to see, you know what I mean, because they made it. But it's not like that every single time, because they're not fully formed. They made it, and that's a major W, you know what I mean. But at the same time, it's like it stops being a clump of cells when a baby is fully formed and able to actually be in, you know, be its own life. You can't push a baby out after even a month and be like, okay, breathe on your own, you know, like I'll feed you, but like breathe on your own. All this, like, that's not how it works, bro. That's not how it works. It's literally just not how it works.
On that answer.
I'm trying to answer your question. As far as
Do you believe that abortion should be allowed all 9 months of pregnancy?
I do feel that's a bit more extreme.
That is a bit more extreme.
Why is it more extreme?
Wait, but let's not act like women are just deciding to get abortions at like during their 2nd or 3rd trimester. And the women who are doing it, it's either that they're going to die giving birth, or it's under some medical circumstances, because I doubt, even myself, I doubt that I would get to a 6-month, 7-month mark and then decide, oh, actually, I don't want to make this commitment. I feel like there's a lot of this conversation, like when does it become wrong? When it's, but like as if we're actually going to get an abortion at that time.
A lot of the what pro-life people would consider hostile pro-choice comments and things like that are a response to hostile pro-life people. And I think that doesn't get talked about on our side because we don't like to fight each other. But I think it's an important point because I've seen absolutely disgraceful comments made towards women who are going into clinics, you know, who are obviously in a very traumatizing situation, and you don't know what that woman is going through, and they're shouting obscenities at her. And that's appalling. And I think that we need to take responsibility as pro-life people to understand they've experienced so much hurt from our side of the community.
And I agree with that, I think, but from our side of the aisle, folks are very passionate because they believe that's a life, they believe that's a baby, and they want to do everything they can to save that child. But I agree that our rhetoric needs to be there as a resource and another option, and we can do that peacefully and respectfully as well.
I think on any side of any controversial issue, you're always going to have those extremists. Same thing on the pro-abortion side. People are always going to have feelings, and people are always going to fight on that level, right? But I think it's about coming up here and saying, like, what actually makes common sense, and how do we come up with policy that doesn't force folks to live by other people's values.
Valid, bruh. This was an interesting episode, bruh. I'm not gonna say it was quite a W, but it was definitely interesting. I definitely talked way too much. I don't even know how long this video. I really don't. Like, I still don't know where to see that in OBS, but either way, man, there should be an option, dude. That's literally all I can say. That's all that matters, to be honest, bro. There should be an option.